Go ahead.
Coach obviously told us about Cam. You guys losing him for the rest of the year. So EJ's come back after being injured earlier, had some big catches on Saturday. Just, I guess, obvious question, how big is it to get him back when you're losing a guy like Cam?
Yeah, I mean, because if they both would have been out, then you get pretty thin pretty quick, right? So it's a good thing. And the thing about EJ is you can see that, he really, I call it fresh legs, but I mean, because of the time he missed, his body's rested and he's ready to go. So he's playing at a good speed right now, and his confidence is growing. You can tell every time out there his confidence is growing with the offense and speed of the game and all that. So it's really good to have EJ. Obviously, Cam's a big loss, but on the flip side of it, Cam is doing the exact right thing. And I told him that too when, he made that decision. I go, yeah, let's go get this right. Is what I told him. So, So, did I answer the question? Okay, good. All right, next.
I asked Tom about this, but I want to get your take also. Brendan, told us after the game he didn't practice much during the week, and obviously was questionable going into the game. Just how do you feel like he was able to, what do you see from him during the week as he was putting in the mental reps that he kind of talked about, and how was he able to kind of put together a good performance without having the physical practice reps?
Yeah, well, it's an aberration for sure because that's not usually how football works, but credit to him on the extra prep that he did because you can't, football's a game of, at the quarterback position, you're mental and physical, and he was obviously very limited in his physical, so he upped his mental preparation, and he got some, walk-through reps there too, which helps operate and things, but no, credit to him. I mean, I thought it was a whale of a game by him, all things considered. Certainly not perfect. We certainly have a long ways to go. He knows that. I know that. We know that as an offense too. But certainly put that up there as one of the better performances I've seen given all the circumstances involved.
Jack Mason.
Yeah, are there a few areas with Brendan where you feel like you've seen him improve, especially in the last couple of weeks?
Well, it's hard without practice, right? I mean, so some of the physical things that we had started working on, he can't work on as much. But I'll tell you the number one place that I think he has grown quickly, which is good to see, is game management. And I don't mean that in a bad way, of understanding where you are on the field, what's the game situation, what really needs to be accomplished. Like take that last drive. If we pick up that third down, we called a pass there. And you pick up third down, the game's over. Okay, so you have to call the pass in that scenario. There's just, you have to do that. But we told them, this can't be incomplete, okay? Can't be completed out of bounds, short of a first down. So it's either open or you got to run it and you can't take a sack. So, I mean, there's a lot there. And he hit his third step. He didn't like it. And he got forward for a yard or no gain, and we got to drain the clock out and then hit a big field goal. So that's big growth for a young guy especially. It's big growth. Go ahead.
Kind of looking back at that second half, offense kind of struggled to move the ball after being able to do so in the first half, but then that last drive when you guys needed it to put the game away, kind of give yourself an opportunity to land that field goal, you guys were able to do so. What did you see in that second half that kind of, A, led to the struggles, and then B, what was rectified on that final drive?
Yeah, really just, the first series of the second half is really one that, I'm perturbed with myself, really, because, we got down in there close to the red zone, then took a big sack on just a play call I wish I could have over again. On that situation. I think that kind of, set us in a situation where the events unfolded like they did, but disappointed. But on the positive side of that, like you alluded to, the last drive, when it mattered, we got down in there and did what we had to do, even given the struggles that we had in the second half. And a lot of those struggles, we played our smartest game on offense. We had no turnovers, no penalties. And so when you do that and then you struggle, you still give yourself a chance. And we've had those struggles before this season, but then we've also had penalties with it or turnovers with it, and then that really puts you at a deficit. So the fact that we played our smartest game so far, I think helped us overcome some of those struggles. Go ahead.
What do you think? You've played three good defenses the last 3 weeks, obviously, and the run game has, yardage-wise, it's dropped through those 3 games.
Yeah, I
but
know.
then,
How about that?
on an isolated way, you've had some runs here and there that have moved the sticks. What's your assessment of that? What's your assessment of the running backs of the line? And
Yeah, well, you can't really ever do what I'm about to say, but I'm going to say it anyways. If you take away some of the key sacks, and that sacks yardage in college football goes against your rushing, and you look back at the last 3 weeks, I think it looks different and it feels different. But the numbers are the numbers, so it has gone down. But it has been effective at times. It hasn't been consistently effective enough. And it certainly has not been explosive enough. But that commitment to it, of doing it, I think certainly plays into how we want to play the game as a team. And so we're going to continue to try to get better at that, being consistent and being explosive with it. I still think it's really good to have Josh back. Trent is coming. The O-line did some good things again there in the first half and in the second half in key moments. But consistency. That's what we're looking for. And once you have consistency, usually the explosiveness happens. So when you don't have that first one, the second one's hard to get.
I recognize this may not be one of those things you want to say out loud lest it gets spoken into existence, but Brendan, he's only got the one interception. He hasn't had
Why are you saying that? Don't say that. Stop it.
But when you talk about game management, his ability, I guess, to not, even if maybe the explosive plays come and go, or if the other team has made some adjustments that kind of keep him under wraps passing the ball, not make mistakes, I guess, for a young guy, not get rushed. Is that sort of reflective of the same thing, that he's at very least he takes care of the ball, he kind of just keeps you in situations that give you opportunities to make plays?
Yeah, when you're talking about a young quarterback, and that's still what he is, just when you compare reps-wise. I know he's been in the program 2 years, but game reps-wise, he's still very young. The number one thing, like I alluded to earlier, is understanding game situation, okay? Understand when you need to press it a little bit and when you don't. And he's coming in that area. There is no substitute for reps on that, and in a game situation like that. So we're not there yet. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I think there's some, we went over the film yesterday, and there's a lot of situations out there where I think we could have been different from the quarterback spot. But with all that being said, guys, I said it in here when we lost. I mean, that performance by Sorsby was above the line. There's no question. We won. It's above the line. So there's a lot of good things you can build off that. We got to cross the finish line there.
With Donovan McCulley, knowing that he's been at receiver only for like a hot minute and his physical tools, what do you project from him, knowing that what he has as innate ability?
Well, I don't know. I mean, if I knew the future, you and I can go to Vegas and we don't have to do this anymore, right? Let's do that. Yeah, I think if Dono keeps working the way he has been working, the improvement, you're just seeing it go at kind of a pretty steep incline right there. Sometimes that happens with guys that switch positions and they have such great physical attributes, but it only happens when you're willing to do the work, and he has been willing to do the work. So I don't know where the ceiling is for that kid. I hope there isn't one, to be honest with you. But it's fun to see, and it's tribute to him. Yeah, go ahead.
Anybody that you compare him to that you've coached?
I usually stay away from all that stuff. But like Kenny Galladay, we had him at Northern. Similar frame, and speed and stuff, but I haven't put a lot of, I hate doing that, so I usually try to stay away from it. My wife and my son do it all the time to me. What do you think he's like? I don't know. And my son always says, well, I think he's like that. Well, who knows? So, yeah, ask him. I'll get Charlie up here. He'll know.
Yeah, Alan mentioned the emphasis that you've placed on improving leadership within the QB room. What's kind of been your message, and how have you seen them evolve as leaders in the last month or so?
That part's been probably the area of the biggest growth and where we still have the longest to go, if that makes sense. And I think it's really hard when you're in a quarterback battle like we've had here for, one guy to step up and be that voice and do those things. And right now we're coming out of that on this side, and so now that's demanded of that position. Yeah, and it really is, the head coach and the quarterback, right? I mean, those are the two positions in football that get talked about the most. And so if you're the quarterback, you need to be the leader and accept all the things that come with that, good and bad. And I think Sorsby's done a good job of that, and we still got a long ways to go with that, but that's been a good job. All right, now what's the last question? I want to hear it this week.
Okay, two-parter.
All right. Fish isn't going to ask any question this week?
No.
Okay, good.
I don't. Taylor Swift wants to know.
Oh, boy.
Were you ever on the Dawn Patrol? And if so, what was your sin?
Why is Taylor asking?
I'm just a messenger.
Yeah. Keg, why are you hiding?
He's not. I came up with it.
Really?
He's innocent.
Really?
He's innocent.
Okay, so I don't know why Taylor's asking, but yes, I was on Dawn Patrol one time. And I can't remember the alleged incident why I was put on there, but I do remember I never was on there again because Monty got me pretty good that morning. And I just saw him a little bit ago. So yeah, one time.
Okay.
That's it?
No, I do have one. Just on Illinois' defense.
Yeah.
Just your thoughts on.
Yeah. Listen, I think this time of year here in the Big Ten defenses, they present problems with personnel and scheme. They run something a little unique, although more teams are kind of copying them because they've had incredible success with what they're doing. So we've seen elements of it, but they have really good personnel. I know they graduated and got a lot of guys drafted off that last year, but it seems like they just loaded them up again. And they have a D tackle that's probably as good as we've faced, and other positions just as good as we've faced too. So it's a good defense, and it's predicated on not letting you run the ball and challenging the pass at every turn they get. So yeah, it's gonna be another tough challenge, but it's the Big Ten. I mean, that's what it is, week in and week out. Nothing else. Fish, you were easy today.